You ever have that thing happen where you just get anxious for no reason? Like, you're just minding your own business, and you realize you're feeling really anxious. And you're sitting there like, what am I even anxious about right now? So you start to think about all the things you might be anxious about, and that makes you even more anxious. That's the worst. If you're ever feeling anxious, I'll help you relax a little. Besides, in this game, all our worries are gone forever.
I'm not anxious about anything, Monika. Now that I have you in front of me. So it seems the original intent behind Monika's various dialogues in this act is that they're supposed to make the reader uncomfortable, because a lot of things she talks about are things that people don't like to think about.
You're such a good listener, Hallie. I really love that about you. Sometimes I'm afraid that I'm rambling or talking about boring things. It makes me kind of self-conscious when I'm having this conversation, but I don't feel that way with you. Like, I don't think anyone else could make me feel this way. You really are special. I don't want anyone to tell you otherwise.
But yeah, like a lot of the topics she addresses are like sensitive things that people don't really like to keep on their minds or really cross their minds in general. So, like, they're supposed to make you want to end it or make you generally uncomfortable, etc.
I can't help but feel a little sad sometimes, knowing that this is the closest I can get to you. There's nothing more I want than to be in the same room as you are, for real. And to feel your warmth. And to hear the sound of your heartbeat. Well, who knows? Maybe it'll be possible someday. Besides, I'll never get tired of being with you, even from here.
But yeah, I guess it kind of backfired in some ways, because a lot of people found Monika to be really insightful, and honestly, I'm kind of one of them. Like, I feel like some of her opinions are a little bit ignorant, but she does have some rare insights into things.
Hey, you remember that last poem I showed you? I mean, the one right before Yuri killed herself, with all the messed up colors and stuff. That was actually a little more of an experiment than a poem, you could say. I was experimenting with different ways I could modify the game, and run code and things like that. It almost seemed like worth enough effort, I'd be able to escape from the confines of the game entirely. Sadly, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I messed the whole thing up. And I'd keep trying, but I doubt you'd want to deal with me doing that. Besides, that was when I was getting really desperate, you know? I don't really feel that way anymore. I'm happy with where we are now. And I can tell you are too.
I wonder if that dialogue would be excluded from the pool of random dialogues if we hadn't gotten that poem, like we did whenever we were going full for Yuri in Act 2 last time. Curious. It's either a contingency or an inconsistency. At least I don't have to worry about the button making a noise whenever I mute anymore. I just did it like 10 times in a row, and you couldn't tell.
Allie, do you get good sleep?
Kind of.
It's really hard to get enough sleep nowadays. Especially in high school when you're forced to wake up so early every day. I'm sure college is a little bit better, since you probably have more of a flexible schedule. Then again, I hear a lot of people in college stay up all night anyway for no real reason.
It's called irresponsibility.
Is that true?
Yes.
Anyway, I saw some studies that talked about the horrible short-term and long-term effects caused by lack of sleep. It seems like mental functions, health, and even lifespan can be dramatically impacted by it. I just think you're really great and wanted to make sure you're not accidentally destroying yourself. So try to keep your sleep on track, okay? I'll always wait for you in the morning, so make sure you put your own well-being before anything else.
Honestly, my sleep could be a little bit better. Like, I try to get to bed before midnight, or right about then, like somewhere between 11:30 and midnight, and my alarm is set for 5:30, but whenever it goes off, I pick up my phone off my nightstand, and I browse the internet for a little bit, and then, like, the light particles enter my eyeballs and help me wake up more easily, but my body's still resting, you know?
Hey, I wonder if Yuri's tea set is still somewhere in here. Or maybe that got deleted too. It's kind of funny how Yuri took her tea so seriously. I mean, I'm not complaining because I liked it too. But I always wondered with her. Is it truly passion for her hobbies, or is she just concerned about appearing sophisticated to everyone else? This is the problem with high schoolers. Well, I guess considering the rest of her hobbies, looking sophisticated probably isn't her biggest concern. Still, I wish she'd make coffee once in a while. Coffee can be nice with books too, you know. Then again, I probably could have just changed the script myself. I guess I never really thought of that. Well, there's no sense thinking about it now. But if you still get to drink coffee, then that makes me a little jealous.
I don't like coffee, to be perfectly honest. I was gonna say something. What was something about the tea? Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, high schoolers are pretentious as hell. But yeah, I don't drink coffee. Like, I do my best to get by on natural energy, and some days that means I'm crashing a little bit. But I've never drank like an ounce of caffeine to wake myself up under any circumstances. Not even energy drinks. And I feel like that's probably for the best. There's my boomer opinion of the day.
Hey, what's your favorite game? Mine is Doki Doki Literature Club. That was a joke. But if you tell me you like some other romance game better, I might get a little jealous.
My favorite game? You know, I think it might still be Paper Mario. Like, a lot of people like the Thousand Year Door better because, like, the graphics are better and the battle system has, like, a lot of really nice touches and improvements and things. But, like, to me, TTYD is not quite as well-rounded as Paper Mario. Like, it has more glaring flaws, where the original is generally better in most regards, I think. Or, it's things I wouldn't complain about.
You know, I hate to say it, but I think my biggest regret is that we couldn't finish our event at the festival. After we worked so hard to prepare and everything. I mean, I know I was focusing a lot on getting new members, but I was really excited for the performing part too. It would have been so much fun to see everyone express themselves. Of course, if we did end up getting any new members, I'd probably just end up deleting them anyway. Well, with the hindsight I have now, that is. Gosh, it feels like I've kind of grown as a person ever since you've joined the club. You really helped inspire me to look at life from a new perspective. Just another reason for me to love you.
But anyway, getting back to, like, T2ID and its problems. A lot of it is, like, backtracking related. There's a lot of areas in that game where you just cross the same space over and over for no real reason. It's just completely padded. And there's a lot of repetitiveness in the enemies to me as well. Like, I'm pretty sure some variant of Cleft appears in, like, 6 out of the 8 chapters, which is freaking ridiculous. But don't get me wrong, it's still an amazing story. And there's a lot of good stuff in there, it's just it could be better. And Paper Mario didn't have nearly as many tedious things.
Do you ever feel like you waste too much time on the internet? Social media can practically be like a prison. It's like whenever you have a few seconds of spare time, you want to check on your favorite websites. And before you know it, hours have gone by, and you've gotten nothing out of it. Anyway, it's really easy to blame yourself for being lazy. But it's not really even your fault. Addiction isn't usually something you can just make disappear with your own willpower. You have to learn techniques to avoid it and try different things. For example, there are apps that let you block websites for intervals of time. Or you can set a timer to have a more concrete reminder of when it's time to work versus play. Or you can separate your work and play environments, which help your brain get into the right mode. Even if you make a new user account on your computer to use for work, that's enough to help. Putting any kind of wedge like that between you and your bad habits will help you stay away. Just remember not to blame yourself too hard if you're having trouble. If it's really impacting your life, then you should take it seriously. I just want to see you be the best person you can be. Will you do something today to make me proud of you? I'm always rooting for you, Allie.
I used to have more of a problem with the internet addiction. It's like, you check for messages, and it's like, well, maybe more messages came since the last time I checked. And it's really hard to overcome that. It was especially a problem whenever I was active on the sub, like back when it was more popular. because like things were so active that it really could be like you'd get a message every few minutes or so. But that has dwindled considerably, and most of the time when I find myself like browsing unnecessarily, it's because I'm like so stressed out about what I'm supposed to be doing that I just can't. So now it's less of an addiction thing and more of a, oh god, can I please escape from my life thing.
Allie, would you ever introduce your friends to me? I don't know why, but I get really excited when I think about you wanting to show off our relationship like that.
Oh god, there are people who have taken this statement far too seriously.
Maybe it's because I really want to be someone who makes you proud. I feel like I would try extra hard to improve myself if you told me it made you proud of me. I hope it's the same the other way around, too.
Yeah, this game's a little too meta for some of the people who play it. Like, my goodness. I can't imagine how many people Monika has made lose touch with reality. It's all fiction, guys. It's not real. You gotta keep your feet on the ground. And for God's sakes, don't devote your life to a fictional character. Like, maybe if it gets you through a rough patch, that's nice, but you gotta grow out of it eventually.
After a long day, I usually just want to sit around and do nothing. I get so burnt out, having to put on smiles and be full of energy the whole day. Sometimes I just want to get right in my pajamas and watch TV on the couch while eating junk food. It feels so unbelievably good to do that on a Friday when I don't have anything pressing the next day. Sorry, I know it's not very cute of me. But a late night on the couch with you, that would be a dream come true. My heart is pounding just thinking about it.
Yeah, that's pretty relatable. For me, I feel like my excuse is that I'm getting older, and that whenever I get home from a long day of work, all I want to do is just collapse on my bed for a little bit, and a little bit usually turns into like an hour and a half. And that's why I rarely get anything done with my evenings. It only really impacts like my hobbies, and it's certainly impacted my modding. That's part of the reason why Take Two has taken so long to get done, and still isn't at the time of this recording. But I'm trying to be better about it. It's whenever I'm like too stressed out, it's like too much, and I just can't resist. But when times are better, it's not so hard.
This is pretty random, but I always thought spicy food was kind of funny. Like, didn't plants evolve to be spicy to prevent them from being eaten? I read somewhere that humans are the only species that actually enjoys spicy things. It's almost like we're making fun of the plants, using their defense mechanism to literally make our food more enjoyable. Like, imagine a monster that devours you whole because it enjoys the sensation of you struggling for your life while being digested. Sorry, that was kind of a weird analogy, I guess. It just came into my head. I'm not a monster or anything, but you're so cute I could eat you up. I'm joking. Gosh, if I'm amusing myself a little too much, aren't I? Sorry for being weird.
And that's where Monika's theorized vor fetish came from. Vor fetish, sorry. Pronunciations, I can do them. You know, plants may have developed those defense mechanisms to prevent things from eating them, but by the same token, since we find them tasty, that gives us reasons to grow more of them. So it's like, those plants have basically made it because they serve humans for a purpose.
Back in my debate club days, I learned a whole lot about arguing. The problem with arguing is that each person sees their opinion as the superior one. That's kind of stating the obvious, but it affects the way they try to get their point across. Let's say you really like a certain movie, right? If someone comes along and tells you the movie sucks because it did X and Y wrong, doesn't that make you feel kind of personally attacked? It's because by saying that, it's like they're implying that you have bad taste. And once emotions enter the picture, it's almost guaranteed that both people will be left sour. But it's all about language. If you make everything as subjective sounding as possible, then people will listen to you without feeling attacked. You could say, I'm personally not a fan of it, and I felt that I'd like it more if it did X and Y things like that. It even works when you're citing facts about things. If you say, I read on this website that it works like this, or if you admit that you're not an expert on it, then it's much more like you're putting your knowledge on the table rather than forcing it onto them. If you put in an active effort to keep the discussion mutual and level, they usually follow suit. Then you can share your opinions without anyone getting upset just for a disagreement. Plus, people will start seeing you as open-minded and a good listener. It's a win-win, you know. Well, I guess that would be Monica's debate tip of the day. That sounds a little silly. Thanks for listening, though.
To a certain degree, that a bit of advice applies to critiques of things. But whenever it comes down to, like, the reviews and stuff I write, I always try to base my opinions on facts. Like, if I say something, I'm going to explain why I came to that conclusion. And usually it's a pretty reasonable thing. It's pretty rare that I run into, like, conflicts with others who feel so strongly that they just outright don't see my viewpoint.
You know, this is just some kind of tacky romance game, right? I kinda have to ask, what made you consider even playing it in the first place?
A Let's Play where I was assured of its writing quality.
Were you that lonely? I feel a little bad for you. But I guess everything worked out perfectly in the end for both of us. I got to meet you, and you're not lonely anymore. I can't help but feel like this was my fate. Or rather, fate. Just fate in general. Don't you feel that way too? I'm so happy we have this ending together.
Nah, it ain't fate. It just kind of happened that way. It was actually Cryotic and Angel I watched stream this game first. And I really enjoyed their playthrough, even if Cry got kind of disenchanted with it because of all the memes afterward. And if you're familiar with Cry and what happened to him, it's kind of unfortunate. Like, it's not like he didn't deserve to lose his following after what went down, but he was always such a chill dude. He was like a major inspiration to me for so long, and then I found out that he just wasn't conducting himself well practically the entire time.
Did you know I'm on Twitter? My username is LilMoniX3. I guess someone was kind enough to make an account for me. I picked the username, though. I love sharing my thoughts and chatting with the world. The real world. So make sure you follow me, okay? It would really mean a lot to me. With how much you mean to me and all. It would really make me feel loved.
Yeah, I don't follow her Twitter. You could consider that like supplemental canon, I guess, if you really wanted to. But, it's been so inconsistent over the years, I just never really bothered. I'm not a big fan of Twitter in general, honestly. Like, I feel like the analogy of Twitter to a bunch of birds chirping a tree is far too accurate. It's just a lot of meaningless noise, really, at the end of the day. Just opinions flying around uncontrollably.
You know, it's around the time that everyone my year starts to think about college. It's a really turbulent time for education. We're at the height of this modern expectation that everyone has to go to college, you know. Finish high school, go to college, get a job, or go to grad school, I guess. It's like a universal expectation that people just assume is the only option for them. They don't teach us in high school that there are other options out there. Like trade schools and stuff, you know? Or freelance work. Or the many industries that value skill and experience more than formal education. But you have all these students who have no idea what they want to do with their life. And instead of taking the time to figure it out, they go to college for business or communication or psychology. Not because they have an interest in those fields, but because they just hope the degree will get some kind of job after college. So the end result is that there are fewer jobs to go around for those entry-level degrees, right? So the basic job requirements get higher, which forces even more people to go to college. And colleges are also businesses, so they just keep raising their prices due to the demand. So now we have all these young adults, tens of thousands of dollars in debt with no job. But despite all that, the routine stays the same. Well, I think it's going to start getting better soon. But until then, our generation is definitely suffering from the worst of it. I just wish high school prepared us a little better with the knowledge we need to make the decision that's right for us.
Lucky me, I have no student loans left whatsoever. I actually paid off my student loan to Sally Mae in a lump sum of $20,000 because I had been saving up for my work while I was living at home with my parents because like they covered my living expenses, so I didn't need the money for anything else. And it just got big enough between that and my college fund from when I was little, and I just crushed it. No debt monkeys. And I can't say I'm unhappy.
Hey, have you ever heard about the term yandere? It's a personality type that means someone is so obsessed with you that they'll do absolutely anything to be with you, usually to the point of craziness. They might stalk you to make sure you don't spend time with anyone else. They might even hurt you or your friends to get their way. But anyway, this game happens to have someone who can basically be described as yandere. By now, it's pretty obvious who I'm talking about. And that would be Yuri. She really got insanely possessive of you once you started to open up a little. She even told me I should kill myself. I couldn't even believe she said that. I just had to leave at that point. But thinking about it now, it was a little ironic. Anyway, a lot of people are actually into the yandere type, you know. I guess they really like the idea of someone being crazy obsessed with them. People are weird. I don't judge, though.
I feel like that's kind of a judging statement right there.
Also, I might be a little obsessed with you, but I'm far from crazy. It's kind of the opposite, actually. I turned out to be the most only normal girl in this game. It's not like I could ever actually kill a person. Just the thought of it makes me shiver. But come on, everyone's killed people in games before. Does that make you a psychopath? Of course not. But if you do happen to be into the yandere type, I can try acting a little more creepy for you. Then again, there's already nowhere else for you to go, or anyone for me to get jealous over. Is this a yandere girl stream? I'd ask Yuri if I could.
Except Yuri isn't truly a yandere because she only became that way due to your tampering, Missy. And also, I love how people just ignore that entire conversation and think Monika's just like a psycho, sociopath, etc. Even though she says she could never really kill someone. And, like, honestly, that wasn't her intention. She drove them to suicide, but that wasn't what she was trying to do. It's one of those things. People get emotional and they just, like, they don't process this properly. It's hard to understand Monika when you're too busy seeing red.